You're welcome to the Echo IOS lecture series. This is the first lecture for the day. So today we are going to learn about everything you need to know about the IELTS. My name is Dr. Victor Atox, and I believe this particular young man here is a representative of all our students all over the world. Yes, we have discovered that more than 50% of all those who sit for the IELTS test get less than their desired band score. And we don't find this funny anymore. And that is why we started the Echo IELTS lecture series. So if you are here, I can assure you that you will go home with a band 8 plus at the end of the day. Our focus in this lecture will include the definition of IELTS. Thereafter, I will teach us how we can register for the examination and prepare for all the various tests that will be exposed to in the course of the examination, and finally how to check your IELTS results. I believe at the end of the day you will be hoping to have an 8 plus in your band score as your band score. Thank you very much. Uh, so let's begin. What is IELTS? This is one question that can easily be answered by just typing the word IELTS into your Google search. However, it's very important that I explain the concept of the IELTS to our students. What do we mean by IELTS? IELTS stands for International English Language Test System. That means it is a test system for the English language and it is recognized all over the world, at least in more than 100 countries of the world. I believe it is the most popular English language test system currently in the world. So, what is it? It is an English proficiency examination. Proficiency. That means how well you can speak in the English language, how well you can speak, how well you can listen, how well you can read, and how well you can do what? How well you can write in the English language. So, this test is broadly divided into two. We have the IELTS academic and the IELTS general. And under the IELTS general, we still have another type of IELTS known as the UKVI. Who can tell me what that means? It means United Kingdom Visa and Immigration. It's a special type of IELTS general that is taken by those who are seeking for visas into the United Kingdom. So we have the IELTS academic and we have the what? The IELTS general. The IELTS academic, from the word academic, you discover that this is the one that will be required of students, international students. That's what I call them. We are traveling abroad and we are the international students. Is that not funny? There. This is also the type that is taken by what? Doctors and nurses. Doctors and nurses. Those young, beautiful ladies in the hospital wards. But we have male nurses too, isn't it? Of course, we do. So, and some other institutions abroad usually request for the IELTS academic. So, the most important thing is to ask to ask about the requirement of the institution that is demanding for the IELTS tests. The second type of IELTS is the IELTS General. And the IELTS General is usually taken by those who wants a PR in Canada, a permanent residence in Canada, and for other work-related issue, mainly for work. And those work are usually non-medical jobs, non-medical jobs, non-medical jobs. So if you want to go and be either a worker in a company abroad, you may be required to take the IELTS General. Like I said earlier on, you just need to ask the institution, what do we need to write, so that you don't go and prepare, and at the end of the day, after wasting money, time, and energy, you will discover that none of those things are required in the first place, or you've just prepared for the wrong examination. So a nurse that is traveling abroad, you need to ask for the requirement, as well as what the band scores. And the band score ranges between band 1 and band 9. And I have promised you that at the end of this lecture series, you should be able to confidently uh, go into the hall and bring forth the offspring of band 8 and above. You don't trust me, do you? I trust you, and you will produce the result at the end of the day. So, who are the organizers of the IELTS? The Cambridge University Press and Assessment. If you've listened to the IELTS listening test, you would have been very familiar with this word, Cambridge University Press and Assessment. And this is the institution that is in charge of creating the IELTS, as well as the IELTS booklets. If you remember the IELTS booklet, which is the official booklet for the IELTS examination. And this particular body will request now administer the examination via two main bodies across the world, that is the British Council and the IDP IELTS. It's very important that at this stage to state that the British Council and the IDP are representative of the Cambridge University Press and Assessment. And as such, you cannot say that the British Council is harder than the IDP. They are just the vendors. The farmer here is Cambridge. I believe you understand this particular concept clearly. It's very, very important at this stage of your training. So you can register for British Council or for IDP. But when it comes to customer service of the companies, you may decide to either choose British Council or IDP based on the testimonies you must have gotten. But to say that IDP is harder than British Council doesn't make any sense. It's just like saying that the WAEC that is set, the WAEC that is, if you write WAEC in Abuja, it is harder than the WAEC you write in Lagos. It doesn't make any sense, does it? So let's go straight to the next point, which is how to register for your IELTS. How do you register for your IELTS? Okay, let's say you open your browser. I usually use the Google Chrome. I am not marketing Google Chrome, but then I love Google Chrome. It's a very fast browser. You can type in IDP, IELTSIDP.com or BritishCouncil.com. Just type it in this space here, then click on it, and you will either be directed to either this place or this place. If you are not very sure, ask your IELTS coach. It's very, very important at this stage that you get it correctly. So you can register for your IELTS test by filling the details as contained in your passport. In your what? Passport is very, very important. You can then check for your city. Which city do you want to write the IELTS test? Then you pick a date and a time for the test. Then you can complete the online application, and thereafter you can either go to their office and pay for the application fee, or you can use any of your mobile means of payment, like the use of card or the use of transfer. Just make sure that you pay the amount, I believe, within 48 hours or less. I don't know. They will give you, they will alert you via the their official email, and you can know what is expected of you. So it's very, very important that every step of the way you should expect correspondence via email. Please, it's very important. Don't go and make any payment if you are not sure that you are doing the right thing, so that stories that touch the kidneys will not be your portion. Beware of scammers. I've heard so many stories since I began to coach the IELTS. Please, they'll say, Coach, please, what happened? I registered for IELTS. They have not sent me the materials for my studies. I beg you, in the name of the Lord God Almighty, if you don't know how to go about it, call your IELTS coach. So the next one is how to prepare for what? The IELTS test. This is like the most important part of this lecture, and that is because it will help to bring down the anxiety. But why are people anxious? Many people are anxious because they don't know where to start the preparation. Others have started the preparation, but they don't know how well they are doing. Then finally, there are those that are actually seeing results, but they are struggling with one type of test, usually the writing test. But for someone like me, it has always been the listening test. I don't know why. Ah, so you hear things like, how is preparation? And the usual response is, I'm scared. Will I fail? No, you will not fail as long as you are here with me. But if you will not fail, it's not by shouting it, it's by preparation. So, how can you prepare such that you would have overcome the fear for IELTS? It's just by subscribing to the Echo IELTS with Dr. Atokes. You don't believe me, do you? I believe in you. And that is all that matters. So, in this preparatory class, what am I going to be teaching you in this preparatory class? I'm going to teach you what, which is what we have just done. What is IELTS? And I'm going to tell you about why you should, the reason behind your preparation for the IELTS test, when the time you have set aside for the preparation of your IELTS test, then the where, the how of the preparation for the IELTS test. It's important that I take these steps one after the other. So, why are you preparing for the IELTS test? Please, your reason for preparation for the IELTS test is very important, because once you find your why, the how will become very easy. So many of my students will tell you that I am doing this just for my kids. Look at this woman. For the kids, I want to give them the options I was never given. Please, I want to give them the option I was never given. That is why I am taking the IELTS test. Because in many situations, IELTS becomes the rate limiting steps between where you are now and where you are headed. So, if IELTS is part of the price you must pay to give your child an alternative passport, or to give your child a better life, or to give yourself that opportunity to be heard globally, please pay the price with everything you've got within you. And how do you do that? You can write your reason. If it's your kids, you say, I'm doing this for my kids. Write it boldly and plaster it where you can see it on daily basis. Did I just use the word plaster? Paste it and paste it on the refrigerator or in the bathroom. Your why is key to generating the energy that is required for this training experience. So let's talk about the question of where. The fact that you have found a why, you've decided that, oh, I'm going to study for IELTS or prepare for IELTS, doesn't automatically mean that you are going to ace it. However, if you can answer the question of where, you have solved much of your situation, much of your problem. The question of where. You remember the story in the Bible about the seeds that fell on the roadside, others fell amongst stony ground, while others fell in the midst of rocks. But the ones that fell in a good soil were the ones that produced good results. That shows you that the environment of your preparation will determine the kind of performance that we are going to see at the end of the day. So my advice has always been, please don't use the word the bedroom. Don't study in the bedroom. This is not a sleeping competition. Just get a table and a chair in the living room, or you can go to the library, and you can be rest assured that this is going to be a similar environment to what you will find in the IELTS examination. So I would beckon on you that you should choose a quiet environment that will mimic the environment of the examination. It's very important. Then, the next question is to answer the question of when. You have now known the place to study, but the next question is, when will you be studying or preparing for the IELTS test on a daily basis? On a what? On a daily basis. It's key that on a daily basis. You need to carve out time. There is no time. That's why you need to carve it out. I didn't say there is time. What I say is that you need to carve out time. So you can decide that from now, uh, henceforth, until the day of your exam, you're going to separate 8 to 12 p.m. If that is too much, you can decide that it should be 8 to 10 p.m. or any time of your choosing. But try as much as possible to make sure that it is what it is daily. Make sure that it is daily. And during this time, I usually advise my students to put their phone on what? On flight mode. Why flight mode? See, the world can wait for the next 2 hours, 2 or more hours, but the vision you have for your tomorrow can't. And as such, put your phone on flight mode if you want to fly far. Aww. Did you catch that? Then, it is very important that we talk about the question of what, of which material is will you use for the preparation. The question of which. Number one material, you see this Cambridge booklets is key. Cambridge booklet, it does not have any other alternative. It is your go-to book. It's a book you will use for all your practices. So get your Cambridge booklets, and you can get this from your coach, from your Ielts coach. And there are also some links that are available that one can use. Then you can also you should also get your headset for your listening test. It's nothing. Don't go and get an earpiece. I say what? Headset. And the reason is because in the hall you'll be making use of the headset. So it's very important that you practice with it. You can get a booklet where you can be recording your scores, and before now you can use it for your IELTS writing. If you cannot print out you cannot be printing out the answer booklet. There, finally, I would also say that you should make printouts. Very important, printout. But in most of our centers now, we are gradually moving from the paper-based tests to the what? We're moving from the paper-based test to the computer-based test. So getting a computer, a laptop or a desktop, in most of the halls they make use of the laptop or the desktop. If you ask me, I would say use the one that is available in the place where you are heading for. But I think most of the places makes use of the desktop computers, where you need to make use of the mouse and the keyboard. So you need to what? Familiarize yourself, please. It's very important. Familiarize yourself. So, in summary, what do you need in your preparation? You need a big why. Is it your kids? Is it that future that you've seen some years ago? That little you, the promise you made to yourself when you were still back in the village. So what is that big why? The next one is to find where, and I will take that as your library. What will be your library? Is it your living room? Let it be a conducive and a noise-proof environment. Then you need to set out a time. I have always used 8 to 12, but you don't need to follow me. But if you do, just follow me as I follow Christ. Then finally, you need Cambridge and your revision materials. And of course, you need to get what? subscribed to the Echo Ielts series, because that is going to be your guide. You can't do without us. We love you. Uh, so finally, we'll be discussing how to check your results. It's very important. There's no need writing an examination that you cannot check the result. So the easiest way to go about this is to what? Ask the invigilators. Ogamio, how do I check for my results? They are always available, and they are always available and ready to assist their students at all time. But if you don't have the strength to ask the invigilators, you can simply Google. You Google how to check IDP IELTS. This one is for the IDP IELTS, or you can Google how to check for the British Council. But mostly, the British Council usually send their results, usually send a mail to you, and once you click it, it will direct you to their page, and you can what? You can download your result. So that is that for that. So for the written or for the paper-based test, it takes about what 13 days for the results to be out. But for the computer-based test, I think the next day or within 5 days, you should be able to get your results. So it's very important to also note at this period that there is an ongoing transition from the paper-based to the computer-based test, and I can assure you that the computer-based test is actually easier, not just for the examiners but also for the students. And as we go along the way, I will be able to tell you the difference between the paper-based test and the computer-based test. But I will dwell more on the computer-based test since this is the new trend according to IELTS. So the final question, which one is easier to pass? And my answer is both are easier to pass depending on what your preparation. So your preparation is the denominator of what will happen at the end of the day, not the type of test you take. And if you follow our series, you can be rest assured that you will be well guided. Thank you very much for your time, and remember, there is nothing that is impossible for a man who has a strong why. Turn to the next class.